Well, here I am. I made it to the big blackberry canes. Only problem is they're still not that ripe, which I can't believe it because I was in another spot and most of the big blackberries were getting ripe. You know, I tend to wait until over half of them are ripe before I start picking because it just makes it easier. Rather than picking 5 or 10 here and there, I can go into a patch like this and pick a gallon's worth in a short period of time if they're all ripe, but these don't appear ripe. But I will show you what I look for good blackberries. And it was a guy on a mushroom hunting forum that pointed this out to me. His username was Doug T. I don't hear from him anymore. I don't know if he died or went to prison or just quit surfing the net. You never know. Some of these people you talk to online, they just disappear one day and never hear from them again. But see these old dead canes? This one's a little small, but they get about as big around as your finger, and they'll be standing way up. I don't know if you can see those right back there. So like in the winter time, these dead canes stand right out, and it's these big canes that produce the big blackberries like this over here. The small canes produce small blackberries, and I think people around here call them black caps or something. But these ones are about twice as big as the small ones, and you can gather up a good mess in a short time. Oh yeah. See, I mean, this is about the here's about the size of a normal blackberry, and you can see big difference. It takes half as many of these big ones to make a gallon. I shoot for a gallon because that's about how much I need to make a good pint or two of syrup or a nice big blackberry pie. And those big ones are so much juicier. I guess people mistake these for poison ivy because they do have 3 leaves, but they have sawtooth edges. So since it has a sawtooth edge, you know it's not poison ivy. I just wanted to show you that. These are good. I'm gonna wait though and come back when they're more ripe. There's another big patch just down the way. I think I'm gonna head over to that other spot and harvest those because they're getting ripe much quicker. It's in another county. It's a little further away from my house, but I hunt all over the state of Michigan. One thing I'll warn you about, and I don't know if this is the case for everybody, but if I eat too many of these blackberries, or really almost any berries while I'm in the field, sometimes they go through me real quick, and all of a sudden nature calls and I'm stuck out in the woods. So keep that in mind. Might want to watch about how many you eat because you may have to find a place to go to the bathroom if you don't. Here's an oak, and I would lump this into the white oak category because it has rounded leaf tips. I'm not 100% sure, but this kind of looks like swamp white oak. When it comes to the oaks, we have quite a few species in Michigan, so the only purpose I have at this point for the oaks is for hunting mushrooms. And mushrooms tend to favor either the pointy-leafed oaks or the rounded leaf oaks. So I end up just lumping them all into two categories: white oak, which is rounded leaf tips, or red oak, which is pointed leaf tips. So if you hear me say white oak or red oak, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's technically a white or red oak. It's just kind of a categorization I've made that is useful for hunting mushrooms and not much else, except that I have heard that the white oak varieties have a much milder acorn with less tannins in it. And I have experienced that because I have ate white and red oaks just to see what they taste like, and the acorns that come from the pointy-leafed oaks are definitely much more bitter. They're pretty much inedible. And I've had some that come from white oaks that tasted pretty good right out of the shell. Although they say you shouldn't do that because they have tannins in them, and you don't want to put a lot of tannins in your body. But I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm kind of bummed. I was sure I'd come here and pick me a big old gallon of blackberries. I may pick a few and see what I end up with, because I do have another patch or two just down the way. But I wanted to get a gallon so I could make some syrup and hopefully make a blackberry pie. But if I get some, I'll show you what I end up with. Talk to you later.